Hello, Solomons, my old friend. I've come to attempt you again. Hello, everybody. Today we'll journey through Pokemon Emerald using only a seedot. The rules are the usual ones. Only use a seedot in combat, no items in battle, can't use the move double team, and of course no cheats or glitches. So I'll be straightforward. Sidot is bad. His stats are not great, and the move pool is kinda bad. But most importantly, they are somewhat incongruent, since the only boosting move is growth, but he only has a couple of special moves. This made me quite unsure how to build a Seedot, and as a consequence, I think I made a lot of small mistakes, more than usual. The bad news don't stop there though. Seedot only starts with my favorite move, Bide. This is going to be awful. The first mistake I arguably made is the nature. I went with one that raises my attack, but I'm not very sure if that was the best option. Against the wild Zigzagoon, we have to either wait until we die or take it out with Bide. It's closer because Bide takes forever to unleash, but eventually I can win while surviving on low HP. Leveling on the first route is not easy, so I decided to try to defeat May at level 5. I lost only once against her, which is surprisingly good since Bite is very unreliable. In the second attempt, I can bring home the win, but it's very close. In the third route, you can find routes against whom I can waste PPs and then level up with struggle. Once I reach level 13, I can learn Nature Power and move on. With this new move, the first grunt is easy, since it turns into Swift and ignores the sand attacks. I can't use it against wild Pokémon because in the grass it becomes Stun Spore. Thankfully, just outside the forest, we are given the Bullet Seed TM. With a stab move and decent physical defense, I took on gender-bent Roxas. Like in the Lotad run, the Geodude doesn't stand a chance. The Nosepass, on the other hand, is a bit more tanky. It can survive a few seeds, especially because, as always, I only get 2 or 3 hits every turn. Roxanne uses a few potions on her ace, but soon she runs out and I can defeat the statue without taking any damage. First gym down without any major issues. Right after we earn the stone badge, we have to go stop the Team Aqua Grant and rescue Pico. Since we are in a cave, nature power turns into Shadow Ball, and even if it's resisted, it does half HP. I should have used it again, but instead shoot some seeds, and he lives another turn. By the way, while I like Pico, seagulls can be terrifying in real life. Next up is the fight against optional May. For her, I can use nature power again. It does not do much damage, but it's all I can do. Lotad soon falls, but Torchic is kinda scary. It uses focus energy, and I crit him before he can do the same to me. Next, I travel to Slateport to deal with more Team Aqua grunts. Their teams, as always, are weak, especially because the two Carvanas are squishy and weak to grass. I feel like this new route of doing a Slateport before Brawly, it's better since you have some more time to level up, especially if you're using a physical attacker, because if he uses Bulk Up, he can really mess you up. After we defused the situation and delivered the parts to the captain, we can backtrack to Brawly. He also defeated me once. During the second attempt, I used a bunch of nature powers against him, but looking back at the fight, it may have been a better idea to use a couple of growths and then spam bullet seed instead. Meditate keeps trying to use Focus Punch against me, but I can interrupt it every time, so it goes down easily. Mahuhita is another story though. He immediately uses Bulk Up, so I'm forced to switch to Growth and then Bullet Seed. This is why it would have been better to do it from the start. I get a bit lucky and can finish the fight before he destroys me. After we took care of the second gym, we have to backtrack again to Slateport to deal with the May 2 fight. This time I learned my lesson, so I start setting up against the Weevil. She can do some damage since wing attack is super effective and she can confuse me. Thankfully at this point I learned synthesis from level up, so I can heal while I set up. After a while I don't feel comfortable stalling anymore, so I used Bullet Seed and thanks to the boost it does massive damage. The Combusken counters me with Ember, bringing me very low. Thankfully I can finish him next turn. Got lucky there. Lombre can't take me out before I can heal back up, so after a couple more turns of spitting seeds, I can finally finish the match. The next obstacle in our path is Watson, and the fight against him turned out to be a bit of a clown fiesta. Voltorb is not a one-shot, and in the second turn it blows up. Rude. As usual, since Electrike can't do much, I take the time to use a few growths to increase my damage with Bullet Seed, and hopefully take out the Magneton. Since it resists grass, I had to go all the way to +6, and after topping off my HP, I can get rid of the electric pup. Next, Watson sends out the clump of magnets, and as expected, even fully buffed, Bullet Seed does no damage, and of course only hits 2 times, so I end up being paralyzed. And then he also confuses me. Great. Man, you're so annoying, Magneton. I almost take it out, but a potion brings him back up, so I again bring him in the red, and Watson, of course, uses another potion. I'm not mad, you are mad. I now have to shift my attention to healing, since I'm running out of HP. Thank God grass resists electric, otherwise this match would have been so hard. Eventually I take out the Magneton, but the fight is not over. Manectric could take me out, but I don't get fully paralyzed many times, so I can heal and in a couple more turns take it out with more Bullet Seeds. Watson was rough, but at least it did not cause any resets. Well, let's hope that the rest of the gym leaders will be easier. That's called foreshadowing. The next major fight is against Maxi, and he defeated me a couple of times because of bad RNG from the Mightyena. Because of the Intimidate, I had to spend some time setting up Growls and then try to sweep with Bullet Seed. But in the meantime, he can use sand attacks to lower my accuracy. Maybe it's a bias, but to me it seems like accuracy drops are less effective once you defeat the one who used them. The Camrapt, for some reason, uses every move it has but the fire one. See how much damage you can do with Ember? I would have lost if you used it more. I then get lucky and hit him 5 times with a crit included to finish him. I had to heal up against Zubat, and I can use Nature Power as intended for once. Since we are in rocky terrain, it turns into Rock Slide, and eventually I hit one to one-shot the annoying bat. I then decided to go back and learn rollout to hopefully have a chance against the next gym. Flannery and her fire types are a big problem. I can't do a lot of damage fast because rollout needs time to stack. Therefore, they have multiple chances to use overheat against me, and that move bores me to a crisp in no time. At some point, I also went and learned Dig, but it too had bad results. So unless I want to level up a lot, I need a crit against the camera. Once I get it, I have to hope to not miss. Thankfully I don't, and the Torkoal cannot survive a stage 5 rollout. That took just a couple resets too many. Our odyssey is not over though, as our dad is also a very tough fight. This lacking can often finish me off, so once again I need a crit at the right time. I use Dig against the Spinda to soften him up, and then I can start rolling on the river. Somebody save me, it's the second music reference in this video. Anyway, at some point I managed to get the coveted crit against Vigoroth, and from here, as long as I don't miss, it's an easy win. The last few minutes could have gone better, to be honest. After we obtain the normal badge and the Surf TM, we can make our way to the Weather Institute. After defeating the grants there, we have to take on May again, and then Pelipper happens. While it's not super strong, it's extremely annoying, because Protect stops rollout, so I can only hit her with the first stage. Meanwhile, she can confuse me or do good damage with wing attack. Eventually, I can take it out and proceed with the rest of the team. Or that's what I would do if I could stop hitting myself for a second. I mean, look at this, I'm almost dead, and Synthesis can't heal much because it's raining, so its power is halved. Eventually, I can finally roll over her and actually move on. Combustion leaves a hit, but does not take me out. Her last Pokemon, Dilobre, uses Fake Out, but can't finish me. So after a bit of healing and missed hits, I can restart rollout to finish the match. This fight was harder than I thought, way harder. I hope there are no other Pelipers to waste my time, wink wink. After we took care of May, we have to make our way to Winona for the next badge. Her team of board types is kinda scary, since they are fast and super effective. But we have a rock move, so the odds are more even. And would you look at that, another Pelipper. Who could have seen this one coming? And yes, it's still very annoying. The situation is pretty much the same as for me. I keep hitting myself, she keeps protecting, and this goes on for a while. Until it doesn't, and the pelican crash lands. Thankfully, I don't hit myself anymore, so I can keep rolling. Tropius leaves a hit, but that only builds up rollout, so I can almost one-shot Skarmory. After the potion, I use the last rollout and destroy the metal board. This means that for Altaria, I have to restart rollout, and ultimately it gets closer than I would like, but I can win the battle with no resets. Okay, I kinda respect the small acorn for pulling through this one. My respect quickly dips soon after though. During the fight against May, I was locked in a rollout and the combustion defeated me. And guess what? Her second Pokemon is, yep, another Pelipper. Oh boy, this damn bird is quickly starting to raise in my hate list. Of course, war never changes, so yeah, I ended up wasting a bunch more time hitting an invisible shield and myself. At least this time there is no rain, so I can heal with synthesis and eventually take out the last pelper for this run. The rest of her team is more straightforward. Combustion bulks up, but does not leave another hit, and Ludicolo quickly follows it to the grave. I don't want to see you ever again, May. As usual, we can get Giga Drain from the girl in Route 123. She's the hero I need but don't deserve, as well as the Magma emblem, I guess. So now we can make our way to Groudon's location, where Maxi wakes him up before engaging us in battle. This one was surprisingly tough, because of Intimidate, I have to spend some turns attacking him, while the Mightyena can freely lower my accuracy or confuse me with a Swagger, which can easily lead to an RNG loss. Crobat is also tough and does a lot of damage before going down. Camerapt did not learn the lesson and once again uses non-fire move, and that costs him the match, as I can defeat him with the Giga Drain. Another lucky win, but that seems to be the theme of this run, so I'll take it. Up next is the fight with Tate and Liza. I lost a couple of times to boosted Xatu, so this time I'll focus on him first. Unfortunately, I do little damage, so I use Giga Drain to dodge the potion range, and my plan mostly works. Also, why does everybody use ground moves against me? They are not very effective. I know Solrock will set up Sun, so I boost with growth. The following turn, I also know that it will use a flamethrower, so it's time to remove it. Next, they send out Lunaton, and I have to focus on it, otherwise I will be put to sleep. At the start of the game, I probably chose the wrong ability, but at least Chlorophyll activated in a handful of fights, this one included. We are almost done with the gyms, but before we can finish with that, we have to go deal with some criminals. This fight with Steven was different. Of course, I don't have enough damage to one-shot anything, so the Mightyena swaggers the Metang, and this single move backfired spectacularly. Now that he is at +2, he is a big threat. Unfortunately, my dig misses the Golbat, but it's okay. I get confused too, but whatever. The Metang refuses to hit himself and starts taking down enemies one after the other. My damage is pitiful compared to his. I'm definitely getting carried this fight, and for once I'm not going to complain about it. All good things must come to an end though, and Camerupt kills the Metang with an Earthquake. Thank you, soldier, you will not be forgotten. Especially because the fake bootleg Godzilla that comes out after is very useless. Aggron immediately gets confused and hits himself, but I can clean up the fight with Seedot by taking out the remaining Pokemon. Once we defeated Maxi for the last time, Team Magma calms down a little and we have to reach Kyogre's hideout, where we have to fight Archie. He turned out to be much easier than Maxi, maybe because I'm a few levels higher. Once again, the main threat is the Crobat. He uses a few potions to stall me, but it doesn't really matter, so we can get through this battle too. Unfortunately for him, Sharpedo is not fast enough to defeat me, so we can get the win. Once he goes down, the red orb activates by itself and wakes up Kyogre, who leaves to mess with Groudon. Since both legendaries are awake, the weather in the region is all over the place, and of course, it's up to us to fix the situation. At least Stephen and then Wallace point us in the right direction. So after we wake up Rayquaza and it stops the other legendaries, we can take on the last gym. Also, I never noticed that there are only women in Juan's basement. Should I call the police? Not like they do anything in this universe anyway. Well, let's at least beat up the old man. I'm going to set up a few growths against the lead, and then I can sweep the rest of the team with Giga Drain. I love life stealing moves. It's so nice to take out enemies and heal at the same time, so you can go on longer. I hit myself in confusion, and Seal does good damage, so I should remember that Seedot is a frail on the special side. The Kingdra, of course, ruins my sweep by surviving on a sliver of HP, but eventually, after a bunch of potion, I can defeat it too. And that's about it for this gym. The last two mons are easy one-shot, so we finally earned the last badge. It's now time to trek through Victory Road. Here we meet and have to fight Wally. His team is one of the strongest in the region, very diverse, but the moves are not the best. Altaria takes 3 hits and is able to deal some damage to us, but eventually I can finish him. Rosella is a one-shot, so no toxic on me. Telcatti could be a problem between sync and assist, but nothing bad happens so I can get through. I saved Dig for the Magneton specifically, so this time he won't be able to do anything. Gardevoir takes a little longer, but whatever. Wally is done, and now we have to enter the league. After I use the rare candies, I reach level 90. Sidney is the first member, and while I can see how this fight could go very wrong for me, cough cough my Tiena, somehow it doesn't. He sends attack me a little, but Sidot mostly ignores it during the match. The Shiftry boosts me with Swagger. Thank you, Possess the Tree. With more attack, I can finish you off and probably one-shot the rest of the team. I miss a few times, but eventually I can defeat the remaining Pokémons. Crodant brings me low, but he can't defeat me, so Sidney is done. It was close, but no resets for you. The next member of the Elite Four is Phoebe, and she could also be a problem with the bad RNG. I'm going to use Growth against her lead, since it always protects, but even with Shadow Ball I can't one-shot it, and could have lost if he used Curse. Since the first Dusclope does not die in one hit, of course her ace also survives and does a bunch of damage with Ice Beam, but at least does not freeze me. The rest of the team is not that bad, but I'm running out of PPs for Shadow Ball. I think I could use Giga Drain in that case, but I can finish the match with the last PP. Halfway through the Elite Four, and the next member is Glacia. She should be easy, right? Well, not so fast. While I'm super effective on half her team, she is also super effective on me. I use 2 growths at the start, and Celia uses Ice Ball on me. You never see that move. I probably could have used one more growth, but I played it safe. The next Celia is easy, and her ace Wolverine is also a one-shot with Giga Drain. But here is where the fun ends. There are only 2 Glalis left, but somehow they can leave a +2 stab Giga Drain and do massive damage back with Ice Beam. Thankfully, I can survive both hits and never get frozen, but that was way closer than what I expected. With Glacia defeated too, there is only one Elite Four member left. You might have understood from the teaser at the start that Drake does not go very well for me. Salamence is a problem and destroys me with flamethrower multiple times. So I left, level up a bit, and came back in 95. Somehow now it's even worse and I can't even reach the Salamence. So I had to go grind some more and came back at 100. Even at max level, this was not easy. It's important that I use two growths and don't get slowed by Shelgon. This way, I can use Giga Drain against the Flygon and defeat him in one hit while healing back up. The Altaria also needs to cooperate and don't do much damage to me. She doesn't, but it's not over yet, because the most important part of the fight is to get a crit against the Salamence. Yep, we are back at needing crits to win. I get one while I survive on 3% HP and then Giga Drain saves me again. It's not a one shot, but it allows me to take a hit. Drake is now going to spam some potions, but it just delays the inevitable, and eventually he runs out of potions, so I can finally finish this fight. That was very hard. The champion defeats me once because of Toxic, but the second attempt goes much better. I set up against the Wolverine, and since it does not attack me for 2 turns, I can set up one more growth than the previous fight. This way, my Lotic should not survive and toxic me to death. While I take a lot of damage for Blizzard, it's fine, because with just a couple of Giga Drains, I can get back to full HP. For Tentacruel, I used a Return, but I'm not sure if that deals more damage than Giga Drain. It dies anyway, so it doesn't matter. The next two Pokémons are a one-shot. I'm unsure whether Gyarados is also a one-shot or not. That Pokémon has surprisingly good special defense. Ultimately, he can't take it either, and with that, the game is over. Seedot was so much worse than I expected, but at least it's done now. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Odyssey. Remember to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and all of that YouTube stuff. And leave a comment. Those help a lot. See you next week. Bye.